to start with that all-contentious matchup between Russia and Spain.
Yeah.
So this is this Saturday, tomorrow, February 12th. It's going to be a 1 p.m. local time, kickoff time in Sochi. And obviously the home field advantage for the Russians, who are now in total do or die.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't do or die last week, it very, very is now.
Well, listen, they run the table, they'll be in.
That's true.
But they're getting close to having to do that. Like, you're talking about winning this game, winning against Portugal, maybe winning against Georgia. Like, they need to get to work here, Russia.
They definitely do.
And it starts here.
100% at home and in front of their home crowd. And like there's reasons for them to be optimistic. They played a good game against the Oaks on day one, and Guy Sam was great. He's captain, fantastic from 10, and he was so game. You could see that he wants to go to the World Cup. He was there 4 years ago. You can see how much they want it.
The finale of Lynn Jones's tenure in that game against Spain that they got hosed last week was a real low point for them, and this is a chance to do right by that.
They need to do right by that. They need to try and kind of exercise those demons. Obviously, it wasn't that long ago. It was December last year, and they were getting absolutely comprehensively put to the sword by this Spanish team. So they will be hoping for improved performance. They already look like they achieved it. Like last week in Bucharest, they were night and day different from that team that took the field against Spain towards the end of last year. But they know that they just nothing short of their best will do here. They need to arrest some momentum. They need to get some points on the board and get back into this race for the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, like, at games, rugby matches can be won by forward packs.
They can.
And Spain, even last week against the Netherlands, like, they have a very lovely backline, and when it clicks, it's great. But sometimes it stutters, and they lean on their forward pack. The Spanish do. They like a good scrum going forward. It's really helped them getting that pack that can match up to the Eastern European sides. But what the Russians need to do is get after them. 100%. Get after them at maul time, get after them on the defensive breakdown, put your hands in things, slow it up, and kind of basically tilt them. Be physical, be like their maul looks brilliant, and I think the more time Dick Muir, I think, particularly gets with this forward pack, I think the more efficient they're going to be. True. I think it's a breath of fresh air to have a kind of a SAFA coach who lives and breathes forward play come in from Lynn Jones as the Welsh coach in there. It just changes things up. I think they've responded to it. I think you can see that on the evidence of the first week, and this would be a huge little benchmark, because it's not a bad game to have for them after the Romanian defeat to play Spain, because listen, it's a benchmark game, they got to win it, but if they do, the steps will go up and up, and this is winnable for them if they get after Spain up 100%.
Front. And one of their best traits, and it was still evident in that Romania game, and it's been evident for the last few years, is their calm and their discipline. For a tier 2 side, it's unusual, and they back their physicality, but they don't rush things. Probably they need to be a bit more hurried in terms of just speed, but they don't tend to get in their own way as often as some of these other teams, particularly Spain last year, can do. So if you can kind of apply the squeeze with that maul that has been so effective and was so last year, if you can, or last week even, if you can hold the pill, if you can let Guy San start pulling the strings and putting forwards into the hole or just onto the front foot ball, then maybe you can get this Spanish side to just derail for a moment and give away a yellow card, and then you're in. Just be the calmer, more clinical side. The model they managed against Romania last year when they did manage to get the win, because they were physical, they were there for the game, they made it a scrap, and they didn't blink. It was a game of chicken in terms of the referee, and they were not the ones to blink, and they were happy to chip over what was given to them, be it from 40, 50 metres
and they'll be happy if they're on the touchline and it's a tough kick to go to the corner and use their maul, and they mix that up really well. But as you rightly point out, they're clinical. On the flip side, they're clinical, but they can just be still a little slow to accrue points.
They're just slow in general, and actually one of the changes, we don't have the teams to hand for this one, unfortunately, but I really hope, I like Artemiev, but his showing on the wing last week was a point of difference between the two sides, very much so, because Romania had Dumitru and stuff doing great stuff, and Artemiev's well into his 30s. He was more of a 10 than a winger anyway at times for them, and it's just, he looked beyond pedestrian out there, and it's they desperately need speed. I would be in favour of any 18-year-old who can run 100 metres in around 11 seconds, get him on the wing, for God's sake, get some speed out there, but they definitely need to move away from being they're solid in the pack is fine, but just it's so slow out and about that they're never going to accrue the points that they're going to need, because in this race now for the World Cup, with their backs to the wall, you're thinking bonus point tries, you're thinking scoring around at least 28 points per game in that regard, and you're going to try and rack up scores here. It's going to be tough.
You're certainly thinking of. I think you're thinking like, yes, you do want points of difference in attack, but I think like their offense with the maul and the penalties and Gaisan moving them about can function. But I think what has to happen is they have to stymie and slow and attack the Spanish.
Ultimately tilt the Spaniards.
Exactly. If you don't give them go forward on the inside and make things a little more difficult for Ordaz and Rouet, that then you have a chance. You do have a chance of stopping them, of winning that defensive battle. Like when you give up the go forward ball, when you're a little slow off the mark defensively and you don't manage to disrupt their ball. You saw what happened last December. They got opened up. They have a horrendous speed disadvantage player for player
every
on the
time
outside.
they take the field. That'll be true against Holland as well.
Yeah.
Like that's it's that crisis point for them. They need to find some speed, man. They desperately do, because Gaisan is playing a lovely game of footy out there, and he was the other week, but he was reminding me a little bit of some of Aj McGinty's showing for the US, where he's kind of one-man heroing, and sometimes it's just there's nothing outside him a lot of the time, and you're going like, come on, there needs to be something more incisive there, because Spain will, despite how much you think the Bears can manage to tilt them, I still think Spain will find scores out in Sochi. Like we know, so out in that very stadium, Portugal ran up a massive score last year, which is part of the problem there, but Spain are of a similar mould. They're going to try and run them around, so for Russia, win up front, smother them out of it.
And for Spain, it's all about first of all just supplying your backline with good quality ball and letting
clean your breakdown. Don't let any Russian hands slow down the ball. Give Rouet quick service. He'll then in turn give Ordaz quick service. And if they can achieve that much and keep their heads, then they probably with a good chance of finding one or two scores or three or four scores and putting the game beyond the Bears. They are definitely the quicker side. They should lean into it. They're going to try and run things around.
And the other thing is, like, their forward pack has been very encouraging. They've had good battles even with the Romanians and the Georgians. And they're getting better in that area, and they dismantled the Dutch pack last week. It was just all physical, all class, winning scrums and such. And so they know that if they can front up and match the Russians for physicality and deal with that maul when you have to, but also get mauls and scrums going of your own, that your matchups on the other side, on the back side, are so in your favour that I think you're going to easily win the game if they can front up physically and handle the Russian pack. That is the job. Like for Russia, it's getting on top of the Spanish pack. For Spain, trusting this forward pack that has been good in the last year to deliver for them again and get themselves a good win.
Yeah, trusting that, and part of that goes to patience. Just when things aren't going their way, because they won't always. You're away from home. Russia are a competent pack. They're a physical side. They're going to get moments off. Just don't allow that to tilt. Don't allow the red
referee when a penalty
none
goes
of the red mist. Stay
Yeah.
zen, stay calm, stay focused on things. A lot will go to leaders like Ordaz to kind of manage the temperament of the team, keep it down. Like you want to try and obviously execute at speed and whatnot, but you definitely don't want to be coming into conversations with the ref in a confrontational mode, because it's just never going to end.
They're coming off a good month.
They are.
They're coming off. They played
riding
some
a lot of
rugby.
as much momentum as any team has carried into Sochi for this one after some of their great showings recently. They've
been racking up scores routinely,
scoring good tries very routinely in games. So they'll be confident that sticking to their process is exactly what they need to do to get the win here.
Yeah. And so is that how you see it playing out?
I do. I think that Spain might bury Russia in this one.
And that'll be the end
of Russia in their challenge. I just think speed. It's the same thing with Russia every time. I like Russia. I like a lot of what they're doing in terms of their forward pack. I like their 10. I just don't rate what they've done with the back line. I would rip it up and start anew, to be honest. That's what I'm thinking. They just need more speed, and it just the way that they have to go, the way that the games have to go for them to get results against teams like Spain is just putting it. It's so much more difficult. You have to dominate for so much longer. You have to grind things out you have to be accurate to do all that. Whereas Spain, you feel in a few moments can cut them open, and that'll undo a 20-minute period of Russian play could amount to 3 or 6 points, whereas 20-second period of Spain play can be 7. So I think on that front, I think Spain will just be the more clinical side, the ones more able to grab scores.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we'll find out a bit about Spain here going away from home. I think it'll be a good interesting challenge for them. But I agree. I think their form is good enough. I think in Rouet and Ordaz they have wonderful X factor players, and actually just the skill of the whole backline is excellent. Like they stick offload loads of the time.
Different universe to what Russia are operating at. I think 1v1 matchups, if it is Artemiev out there, it's just...
they're gonna get it done. So I would back Spain to just outmatch Russia. But I would say that Russia will get some scores off, and I'd say a bit like that Romania game, it would be closer than you think. It'd be tight enough, but I think Spain, to run it away.
Well, hopefully we see the do or die nature of it from Russia, and they come to the pitch to try and kind of knock this Spanish team off their kind of momentum high and try and take a lead into periods of the game and make it a scrap. But I still will back Los Leones for this one. Who do you got?
Let us know down below who you're favouring, where are you from, who you hunting for. It's gonna be a very dramatic few weeks in Rugby Europe, and it is do or die for these teams now. So let us know how you're feeling. If you're in those sweaty countries on the pulse, right on the edge of World Cup qualification, and the stakes just couldn't be higher. Thank you very much for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to give it a like, share with your friends, and leave a comment down below as well. We really do want to hear your thoughts.